What's up, everybody? It's your boy Stephen J, and I'm here with Stevie, the double B, the BLAVVE, the BLACK, the BIBLE, Black, and we're here talking about wrestling. We're gonna get right into the Hell in a Cell. It just ended 13 minutes ago, and so we're gonna just go work our way backwards real quick. We're gonna start with the heavyweight championship match between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. First of all, I thought the match was pretty good, and I think I said something last week on our last show that I think, I'm doing this because I'm trying to get my 10,000 steps, so that's why I'm not sitting down right now. So I'm standing up because I want to get my 10,000 steps, and you may hear the World Series going on in the background, but it's all good. So just focus on me, hear what I'm saying, smile, everything. So I said last time, and you're going to have to speak up. I said last time that Drew McIntyre was a product of the pandemic, and it's not his fault. But because of the pandemic, we didn't really get a chance to see what Drew McIntyre can actually do regarding this pandemic. We haven't seen that opportunity for him to do it. It's not his fault. It's just the pandemic and him being, right, no WrestleMania moment really. Listening to him on the mic, he needs to work on his mic skills, in my opinion. He's not a good face. He's never been a good face, in my opinion. He's always been a very good heel. Go Eagles. He's never been a good face, and it's just that the whole pandemic, I don't know, something just went into my throat. But talk about what I just said, so I'll give me something to drink real quick.
Basically, he doesn't think that Drew was a very good champion. I don't see it that way. I see it as, Drew doing the very best he could in the situation that we're in right now, and, there's nothing you can really do about it but try your best. I thought Drew was a very good champion, he just, obviously, with no crowd or people there, it's not maximizing the greatest possibility, but,
In my opinion, Drew was boring. If you're watching the World Series, the Dodgers are up 4-2. It's the bottom of the sixth inning right now. 0 out. I don't know what's going on. Something keeps coughing up in my throat, but I brought my water out here. But Drew was a boring champion, in my opinion. And again, it's not his fault. It's pretty much the pandemic's fault. You're pretty much locked in a confined space, and you can only do so much. You do feed off of the WWE universe, but it's hard to feed off a virtual WWE universe, especially if somebody just on TV. You really don't get. And tonight there was a chant. Was that in Sasha's match? This is awesome.
No, that wasn't Drew's.
Was it?
Yes.
It was okay. Are you sure?
Yes. Because I would know.
The universe finally got together, and I think this, I could be wrong, but was the first time that I heard "This is awesome" chant.
It could have been both, but I don't remember.
Since the pandemic. Now I thought they did it during Sasha Banks' match. I know they wasn't doing it under that. They were saying Mick Foley. That's what they were saying, Mick Foley.
The announcers were talking about Mick Foley.
No, the announcers were talking about Mick Foley after, because the crowd was like Mick Foley or whatever they was doing. Mick, but they wasn't. It sounded like "This is awesome" because I started listening. Are they saying "This is awesome"? And then I listened clearly, and I was like, no, they're saying Mick Foley, and they were saying Mick Foley at the time when they both were hanging on the side of the cage. So let's go to that point where Randy goes up to the top of the cage. And I even tweeted about this. I said often imitated but never duplicated, because they went up and all people was thinking that, we're going to have Taker, somebody's going to come off the top of the cage. And I don't think anybody's ever going to do that again. It's just, and here's the funny issue. Here's the funny thing. Mick Foley just had an interview with somebody over in Europe or whatever, and he said that he's still paying thousands of dollars because his tooth went up his nose. He says he's still having problems with his teeth, and he's still paying money with his teeth. I don't know what that could be, but he still says he's paying a lot of money since that hell, and that was like 20-something years ago that happened. So, Randy Orton and McIntyre are coming down the cage, and they're hitting each other back and forth, throwing to the head into the cage and everything. And it looked to me that I'm thinking Orton was supposed to fall. But it looked to me, which is if you notice when the WWE, they went back to the replay on that fall, they would only show when McIntyre was pretty much already off the cage and then fell. They never replayed the actual moment. They were still attached to the cage, and he fell. And to me, it looked like he pretty much slipped off the cage and fell. And I say that because he fell onto the table, and I'm thinking Orton was supposed to do that. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But in 6 months, baby year, we'll find out on Untold on the WWE Network for $9.99 about what really happened. And it looked like Drew McIntyre fell by mistake. And when he fell, and that takes me back to Steve Austin and Owen Hart. When Owen dropped Austin on his head, and Austin was paralyzed for those few moments, he told Owen, I can't feel my legs, I can't move. And so Owen did that, and Owen walked around and played to the crowd. McIntyre falls on his back, over the table falls apart and all that stuff. Randy Orton takes his time getting down. And then Drew starts trying to crawl to the ring, and Randy Orton has a moment where he could, he could have did all that. He could have did all that. But he didn't. He just slowly walked behind him because you knew something was wrong with Drew McIntyre at that point. That, in my opinion, what do you think?
Well, he could be right about that because Randy was just following him the whole time.
He's not doing anything.
He wasn't really doing anything.
And then when they got inside,
it could have been mind games, but I don't know.
And then when they got inside the cage, he like helped him up into the ring. So that tells me that, McIntyre was hurt, and he's just trying to give him time to breathe. To get everything like, okay, get yourself together, get the cobwebs shaken out and all that stuff. So I'm thinking he's really hurt. They get inside the ring. They exchange a few more blows. Did he hit him with the Claymore?
He tried to.
I thought he hit him.
No, he did.
Yeah.
He hit him.
He hit him with the Claymore. Orton kicked out.
No, he rolled out the ring.
Rolled out the ring. He goes for the Claymore one more time. Orton kind of ducks in.
Hits him with the RKO.
McIntyre goes over Orton because he ducked. And then as he was getting up, Orton hit him with the RKO for the 1, 2, 3. 14-time champion. I said last time that I think it was about time that Orton gets a title run. For the simple fact that technically Orton is the last of the Ruthless Aggression era.
Mm-hmm.
He's the last of the Ruthless Aggression era. Because John Cena's gone, technically, and he'll probably pop up every now and then, but he's the last of the Ruthless Aggression. Orton wasn't there in the Attitude Era, was he?
No.
Yeah, so he's the last of the Ruthless Aggression era. Huh?
He debuted in 2002.
Yeah, so he's the last of the Ruthless Aggression era. Well, actually, I take that back because Jeff Hardy is still there, so he's technically the last of the Attitude Era that's still in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the last that's still there. And Randy Orton's the last of the Ruthless Aggression as far as active wrestler. So he wins 14 times, a 14th title, which I think is good. He's tied with Triple H. We know 1 and 2. Well, 1 and 1 is John Cena. John Cena's 16, right? Ric Flair is at 16. Technically, in my opinion, Ric Flair is 20. But him and Ric Flair are tied for 1. Triple H, Randy Orton are tied for 2 with 14 titles. So I think Randy Orton, his battles with McIntyre, his battles with Kofi. Who else did he battle?
McIntyre versus title
No, no, Randy Orton over the last couple years. Who did Randy Orton battle? Because he had a couple injuries. I know that.
His matches were Edge were pretty good.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot about Edge. Edge came back, he had to battle with Edge. I said Kofi. Who was it with Kofi before Kofi? Joe. Then him and Joe had a battle, right?
Yeah.
A few. Samoa Joe.
Him and Styles were having a battle.
Oh yeah, I forgot about AJ Styles. And pretty much, they had Randy Orton battling with all these guys, and he never got a title run whatsoever. So I think all that he's done, he deserved a title run, and he got it. And what's so funny is right after the pay-per-view went off the air, they went to Untold on the WWE Network, which was The Undertaker and Randy Orton in their feud. And first couple minutes, Orton said he hit The Undertaker with a chair the wrong way, and he's supposed to hit him right here, but hit him like right here, and basically broke his skin from here down to here. And so he was like saying how he was scared because, oh man, I messed up. And after they went behind the scenes, he said that he apologized to The Undertaker, like, I'm sorry. And Taker was like, it's okay, kid, but your receipt is coming, which means that I'm going to get you back for what you did. So it's coming. And Undertaker said that he would always sell for the younger guys because that's what he believes that you should do to get the other guys over. And I said all that to say this is because Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, Edge, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, he really sold to get those guys over in all of his matches. And so now it's paying back to him for everything he's did. Again,
his first world championship since 2017, I believe.
2017? That was when he was World Heavyweight Champion?
When he beat Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania.
I forgot about that. So I think he's well deserved in that. The last match before that, Sasha Banks.
It was Bobby Lashley and somebody from Retribution.
Remind me of that. Elijah, remind me Bobby Lashley Retribution. I want to talk about that real quick. But I want to talk about, skip to Sasha Banks versus Bayley.
Yeah, best match of the night.
It was good. You want to say best night of the night?
Yes.
You know what? I could go with that. I could go with that. It wasn't the best Hell in a Cell match. I know the WWE tweeted something today about who was the best Hell in a Cell match ever. And everybody kept saying Sasha. And I'm like, they must have forgot about Taker and Mick Foley's match. That was the best Hell in a Cell because it was the most unexpected thing. And pretty much every match after that pretty much played off of that. Like, okay, how can we try to top that or whatever? I think Rikishi came falling off the top of the cage into a truck, which was only 5 feet. So that don't really count. So, but this match, go ahead.
This match, in my opinion, I don't know his, but my opinion was best match of the night.
I'm at 82,000 steps. I
Very,
didn't really do anything today.
Very personal story. Obviously, two former best friends going at it. I never saw their match from NXT years ago that everyone talks about was really great, but I'm gonna have to go back and watch it eventually. But this match between them was very good. Very good storytelling. A couple times I thought, Bayley was gonna retain, but Sasha came and she clawed her way back in the match, and she put on a bank statement on her with the chair and forced her to tap out, which is very creative. So I'd probably say about like 8 out of 10.
So I'm gonna agree with him that how do you do that? Oh, that is crazy. I'm looking at the World Series and they show Kershaw throwing a strike and it looks like he throws 4 balls, but it's just, man, technology, that's crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna agree with him that I think that might have been the best match of the night. It's not my most exciting part of the night, so I'll just say that. But they're taking Kershaw out. I think that's a stupid move. Don't give him boo. I'm sorry, I'm watching the World Series. I don't think Kershaw should come out in the 6th. Let that man pitch into the 8th. Anyway, the match was very intense. It had been building up for what, a year? Yeah. It had been building up for about a year that you knew that this was going to happen because they gave the implication as a sign that, oh, they're going to finally battle, this, that, and the other. They're going to go at each other. And every time when you thought that they were going to start feuding, we're best friends again. It's kind of like these two right here. So, we friends. And finally, Sasha beat her down with a chair. The feud, in my opinion, didn't last that long. I think I would have took it a little bit longer, maybe to the next pay-per-view. But it is what it is. The match was super intense. I think the ending, how it ended with her putting in a bank statement, not just the regular bank statement, but with the chair, putting her head through the chair and putting her in a bank statement, and then hitting the chair while she got him in the chair, and then after she taps out, the Sasha kept her in the bank statement for about five more seconds or whatever, and then like walks out with the title. So
she stared at Bailey for like a good 2 minutes, 3 minutes before she even took the belt. Like, great storytelling.
Yeah. So
great visuals.
And a lot of people don't give Sasha credit. They forget about her matches with Charlotte over on Raw a couple years ago when they first came in and every woman had a certain faction or whatever, something like that. And Charlotte and Sasha, and then for whatever reason, Sasha got a big head and took her ball and went home for that moment. And I think the WWE punished her because she did that, because when she came back, she just wasn't like the focal point, even though she's a great in-ring competitor. She just wasn't getting, she always had that vibe where you either like her or you love to hate her. So you like her, cheer her, you hate her, you boo her, whatever. And she still had that when she came back. It's just that she was being punished for her attitude or whatever. And she never really got the title run that she wanted. And the storyline with her and Bailey, I think it was a great build-up to the point where she finally won the title tonight. And I thought it was awesome. So big shout out to Sasha, Snoop Dogg's cousin. Way to go and congratulations. Now, we'll talk about the Hurt Business and Retribution. I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand. Why this match was one of the final 3 matches. Normally, in a pay-per-view, the final 3 matches, okay, these are like good matches or whatever. You got the world title, you got the women's title. Hurt Business had that could have been 7 o'clock, the pre-show. You could have put that in a pre-show. And here's my problem.
Well, they did just have the Hell in a Cell match with Sasha before that, so they just needed like a little cool down break kind of match.
I don't even think they needed to do that. To me, it was just like, you had this great finish with Sasha and Bailey, and then it's like, everybody's like, yeah, hype. And then you go to a promo with the Hurt Business, and Lashley comes out with, what's his name, Flapjack?
Yeah.
Flapjack, or whatever his name is. And to me, the match was just, it can be a dark match, and just like, I don't care. That's in my opinion. And the reason why I say that is because the WWE, for the last couple months, have been building up Retribution as possibly the next, I was about to say NWO, but not NWO, Nexus. Because you know Nexus came in, they had like 50 guys. And Retribution has been like about 50 guys just taking on, beating up everybody. And then all of a sudden, by a process of elimination, now it's 4 guys and a girl. And last week on Raw, Retribution finally comes out. And they get into a match with the Hurt Business. And what happened? The Hurt Business won. You do all this build-up for Retribution coming. Oh, man, they're scary. They beating up everybody. And then on the first match, where they're together as a group, they lose to the Hurt Business, and they get beat up by the Fiend, which a lot of people are saying the Fiend just went face.
I don't know. He could be a tweener.
So
he could just beat up everybody.
So I'm just like, okay, I know the Fiend has to keep his whole persona of impervious to pain or whatever and stuff like that, but the fact that he beat him up and the Hurt Business beat him up, Retribution just lost all of its credibility in my book. They just made Retribution, like all that build up in my opinion, was for nothing. Because now when I look at Mustafa Ali, he's a joke now because he lost. I think what they should have done was, even if you have them feud with the Hurt Business, I think they should have disqualified themselves or whatever. That way you keep the feud going on. Like the referee loses control of the match and they keep going or whatever. But they had them lose and then they had them beat up by the Fiend. You just lost them all credibility. And who was that tag team that I really liked in NXT when I was there? And then when they made their debut on Raw, we are better than the Powers of Pain. We are better than the Road Warriors. Then they had every legend beat them up. JBL, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, NWO beat them up. See, they're not even relevant. I can't even think of.
I know who he's talking about. I just can't remember the name.
Elijah, you remember that group? They wore the masks. They had the face paint. Did it begin with a D? He's looking it up on his phone, but that's who Retribution reminds me of, that you had all this build-up, that they were great in NXT, and then when they get there, they literally just became a joke, and they started having them, who was the clowns that they had them going with? They had them in a stupid storyline with, these guys aren't even wrestling anymore. I don't even know. I was gonna say their move is End of Days, but it's not. Wasted. Their move is they do like a spinning heel kick or whatever. Wasteland or something is their move or whatever. But he's gonna find it, and I'll think of their name. He was gonna find their names. And let's go to the Money in the Bank match, which here's my problem with the Money in the Bank match between The Miz.
The Ascension.
Yes, the Ascension. What?
The Ascension.
Does it say what their move was?
I think it was right. It was called like the Wasteland or something.
Wasteland or something like that. Ascension. They in NXT, they were like one of the best tag teams in NXT. They were dominant. They came to Raw, and WWE made them into a joke, and they became a comedy act, running after people and stuff like that. It was just. It was with Fandango and that boy with the phone, whatever his name is. They had him, huh? Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze was good at NXT, and they made him into the joke. So Retribution went the way of the Ascension, where they were dominant, and you was like, hey, this is possibly could be something good, and they just had this potential to explode, and it just fizzled, just like that. So now we go to the Money in Bank between Miz and what's his name? Otis. First of all, the whole concept of the Money in the Bank, when they was at the WWE headquarters, I loved that. Them running up to the steps and fighting, and finally they ended on the roof and whatever. That was very innovative. I really liked it. I really did like it. So Otis wins Money in the Bank. To me, that just wasted it. I'm not sure why they just didn't give it to The Miz then, because if there's anybody...
Because Otis was really over at that time.
No, he's not.
He wasn't dang bright, but he was over. Like everybody was cheering for him. You remember? He had just won Mandy Rose as a
okay, that's what I'm saying. He's a comedy act.
Yeah,
he's not over. He's not over.
He was.
He's a comedy act. He
was still over. He was like the R-Truth at the time.
Okay, R-Truth, you can say is over. The 24/7, 15/7, 17/7, 50i6, whatever, WWE, whatever. R-Truth is over. Everyone cheers for R-Truth, like R-Truth or whatever. But Otis, in my opinion, was never over. They just wasted a thing. And here's it: if he was so over, why did they take the Money in the Bank from him then? If he's so over,
they let it slip. They let their opportunity slip.
Okay,
they do a lot of times, like you just did with
him doing all that.
Like you just said with Retribution, they let the opportunity slip, and now it doesn't matter anymore. You could have capitalized on it.
So again,
capitalize on it.
Okay, that's his opinion. My opinion is they wasted a title run. They could have gave it to The Miz. And here's the thing: 3 seconds left on the clock. You giving the ball to Jordan. 3 seconds on the clock in the WWE, I'm going to give the ball to The Miz. I don't like his show, Miz and Mrs. They like it. I don't personally like it. But The Miz, if you need somebody to be a heel, that you just love to hate and you want to boo and everything, I'm calling The Miz. He's going to step right into that role. I don't even got to tell him anything. I know he's going to run with it. If I need him to be face and I need him to get it to run, I'm going to call The Miz. I know he can run with it. So he beats Otis. So let's just talk about that. He beats Otis. And I kind of figured Tucker was going to turn on Otis tonight because
I've been calling Tucker was going to turn on Otis.
Yeah, they broke up the tag team, and I said that the last time that tag team division's getting weak again. They should have kept them together, but they broke up Heavy Machinery, and Tucker turned on. So this little feud is going to probably last till maybe December. What are they going to do with Tucker? I have no idea. What are they going to do with Otis? I have no idea. So forget Otis. I wasn't really a fan of his anyway. Well, I was a fan of Heavy Machinery. I thought they had something there that they could have built up on. I think if they would have kept them together, if they would have just had them be serious without the whole stupid gimmick and luncheon, all that stuff.
That was their gimmick in NXT.
Okay, but again, it didn't work.
It did work. Everyone liked them in NXT.
No. To me, it didn't work for me. If you're gonna be Heavy Machinery, be Heavy Machinery, be tough guys or whatever.
Their slogan was like stakes and weights or something like that.
Okay, again, it worked for him. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. So now that The Miz is in Money in the Bank, which number one, I called that Tucker was gonna turn on him tonight. The Miz is announced. I hope they give The Miz the same type of run that they gave Kofi Kingston. I think The Miz hasn't had a world heavyweight champion since, when was the last time he was heavyweight? He's had every title in the WWE since when?
2011.
That was 2011?
Yeah, when he lost the title to Cena.
Yeah. So, and the whole thing a couple years ago when they was down here in Orlando, he lost to Cena with that stupid double mixed tag match with his wife, with the two wives and possible girlfriend. Anyway, but if they do a run like they did with Kofi, and I think Miz is gonna turn face on this run. Personally, I think he could turn. Actually,
look, I don't know why they put it on The Miz. Look, he's good and he definitely deserves another title shot. But here's the thing: is he's not gonna cash on Roman. Roman is the top heel right now on SmackDown. He's holding that title at least till Mania. And from what I've heard, the plan is to wait for Edge to recover so he and Orton can have another match at WrestleMania for the title. So Miz getting the Money in the Bank doesn't really do anything, unfortunately.
Okay, that's if Edge comes back.
He'll be ready by Mania.
I think Miz and Orton in a title run in a feud up for that title. Two old school competitors. Miz is
the one that cashed on them the last time. I don't think they're gonna do that again.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not? I think those two could have I think they work good together, and like just Miz, if they do the same thing with Mark Henry, 20 years, and the same thing with Kofi, 25 years, and Miz, however long he's been in the business, and just to be able. And here's the thing, and I may get a lot of slack for this. I think The Miz is just as good as Chris Jericho when it comes to his in-ring ability and when it comes to his in-ring skills. I think The Miz is just as good as Chris Jericho. If you give him the opportunity to do it, he can do it. Which is why you see a lot of his stuff. I don't like him with John Morrison. I've never been a John Morrison fan. Two blues bow for John Morrison. Never been a John Morrison fan. But, okay. And I think because him and The Miz is friends, that's probably why he's back in wrestling or whatever. But I think if you put him in that storyline, people will get behind it. Kind of how they got behind Kofi as far as his run. Kind of how they got behind Mark Henry and his run. Kind of like how they got behind Daniel Bryan and his run. So, 2 shouts out to the Miz. Congratulations. Again, WWE, if you're watching, let that man have a title run and let him have his WrestleMania moment. That will be hot. Hopefully, you know what? Where is WrestleMania supposed to be at this year if it wasn't for the pandemic? Well,
it was going to be in Tampa this year, past year. Next year, it's supposed to be in
Hollywood, California?
Yeah.
Well, you could just forget that because the governor won't even let Disneyland open. So we know WrestleMania ain't coming there. So forget it. May be here in Amway or may go down to, over to Tampa again or whatever. I think they should give Tampa a shot or whatever. But you can, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, you can just screw it. What other matches happened tonight?
Jeff Hardy, Elias beat Jeff Hardy by disqualification. It was okay.
Hold up. Let's talk about Elias real quick. He just came back. And do y'all remember when he first came out and he had a guitar? That man couldn't play a guitar. He just did like one thing, the basic chords, and that was it. This dude is good now. So obviously he's been practicing on his downtime. And last week he had a concert. And is his album real or not? Look it up and see if his album was real. The man had a band, and he actually sounded pretty good. The song Amen, it sounded pretty good. It actually sounded pretty good. So he's been practicing on his own. From when he first came out with that guitar, he was not good. The Honky Tonk Man was better than him on the guitar. Jeff Jarrett was better than him on the guitar. Road Dogg was better than him on the guitar. But now, Elias, this dude is really good. He's got some skills. Practice pays off, I'm telling you. So they got him in a feud with Jeff Hardy, which I really like because Elias was actually trending upward before he got hurt. If he hadn't gotten hurt, I think he would have won another title because they kept flirting him with the 24/7 title, which in my opinion is just a joke of a title, whatever. Let R-Truth keep it every day, and him and that Hero Nakamura, whatever his name is, let him fight over whatever, and let Titus O'Neil keep running down the halls after whatever. Poor Titus, that's a shame. Ever since Titus O'Neil grabbed Vince McMahon, he is still being punished because he hasn't done anything else. Ever since and all he did was just grab Vince McMahon, was like, "What's up, Vince?" Whatever. And I guess Vince don't like being touched by people. I don't want to say what I think it is, but a lot of people, and he got suspended for it. So, you haven't seen Titus O'Neil really be relevant in any kind of thing since then. And he's a big guy. But, what are you looking at?
See if his album is real.
Is it?
It looks like it, yeah.
Alright, so his album is real. What other match was tonight?
Roman Reigns, Jey Uso.
And how did that go? Because I did not see that match.
That match, I missed the beginning of it because I forgot the pay-per-view started. But the part where I did come to that,
I went to Cocoa Beach. I was in Cocoa Beach trying to catch a sunset today. So
he and Jay, I thought it's pretty much the same style of match that they had at the pay-per-view before.
9,500 guys.
It was very emotional. Jay put back and forth, but eventually Roman took over and he kept asking him, to quit because it was a Hell in a Cell match, but it was an I Quit match inside the Hell in a Cell, which...
Did Jay quit?
Yeah.
He said I quit?
He said I quit because his brother came out to help him.
Again?
And Roman put his brother in a submission, and so Jay was like, I quit to help his brother out.
Oh, come on. That's boo-boo. That's boo-boo. So, Jimmy came out. Mm-hmm. Jimmy threw in the towel last time. Mm-hmm. So Jimmy comes out, so Roman grabs him.
Roman was about to hit him with the steps while he was unconscious. Jimmy comes out, he's like, "No, what are you doing? We're family, blah, blah, blah." So then they're Roman's pretending to hug him, saying he's sorry, but then he puts Jimmy in a submission, and Jimmy's looking at Jay and asking him to help me, and so Jay wakes up and he's like, I quit to save his brother. And that's how the match ended.
So, do you think that this is going to be the end of the feud?
I don't know where else they can go.
Oh, what a catch.
I think it's over. I don't really think they need a third match.
I think the feud is over. I think
they were trying to I don't know where Roman goes from here, but I think.
But when is Jimmy coming back?
I don't know. They said maybe January.
Okay.
Yeah, he had like some injury at WrestleMania, like some kind of leg injury.
So if Jimmy's not coming back till WrestleMania, which is going to be like in March or February sometime, then this is Jay's coming out in singles competition, and there may be another match coming along. But
If they keep going with the tribal chief thing, I want
Okay.
I want to know how you feel about eventually if they find time in his schedule for The Rock to come for them to do the match at Mania next year.
I was thinking about that maybe The Rock could come back and it's like, yo man, what are you doing? This is wrong with family, whatever, and I'll fight you, whatever, blah 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 blah, whatever, and they go on to Mania, whatever. But that's interesting. But The Rock,
I mean, you gotta find time in his schedule.
well, his schedule, he's getting over COVID, him, his wife, and his 2 kids. I don't think that's a possibility. He may, it's interesting, but I can't see. But I was thinking about that Samoa Joe.
He's not nervous. For his next opponent?
That he goes after Roman again, talking about tribal chief or whatever. And although I think Samoa Joe is from the Fiji Islands,
I don't think they're family.
they're not family, but he goes by the name Samoa Joe.
Okay.
Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns is from Samoa. So if Joe gets in it, and him and Reigns, and he was like, you ain't the tribal chief, I am, or whatever, I'm going to steal your headgear, or whatever, I'm the chief, or whatever, you ain't family, I'm going to invade your island, or whatever, some kind of along lines like that. But I think if they can bring Samoa Joe in the mix for this, I think it'll be an interesting feud that they can do and maybe lead up to The Rock. But who do you see as the next opponent for Roman Reigns? Because he needs somebody.
He does need somebody. I don't know.
Because right now, Roman is boring as a heel.
What?
He is.
You like him as a face? You don't like
Okay.
him as a heel? You just don't like Roman Reigns.
I don't like Roman Reigns. I actually like Roman Reigns when he was with the Shield. So him with the Shield, I love that. I love that. But him and Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman treating him like Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns doesn't need Brock Lesnar, doesn't need Paul Heyman to talk for him like Paul talked for Brock.
CM Punk didn't need Paul Heyman to talk for him either, but it's kind of like that dynamic.
It didn't last long though. That Punk and Paul Heyman didn't last long. It did not last long. That was just like, hey, it's kind of like Paul Heyman and Cesaro. Let's try this out, see how it works for a couple minutes, and then we beat Paul Heyman up, and he's gone, he's fired. Because it didn't work. To me, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, the first, I was intrigued when he went with it. Is that the new Hummer? I thought they stopped making Hummers. I'm just looking at a commercial. It's a Hummer truck. Here's the problem with the Hummer. It looks like it's kind of like the iPhone 12. It looks like the iPhone 5. So this new 2021 Hummer looks like the last Hummer. The fact that it's a truck is interesting, but back to Roman Reigns. That's Roman Reigns. It's interesting. Oh, it's an electric vehicle. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so it's an electric vehicle. So that ain't Roman Reigns. That ain't Roman Reigns. But I don't think Paul Heyman needs to talk to Roman Reigns. And it's just like Roman Reigns needs to do more. When people started hating on Roman Reigns because he came in for that moment at the Royal Rumble for Daniel Bryan, and Roman talked and he did not care what people said, not how John Cena does it, but in his own way. I like that little bit Roman Reigns, whatever. But now, to me, I'm not saying take the title from him. I am not saying that. I'm just saying right now, the whole Paul Heyman gimmick, the intrigueness has worn off. It's not working for me. And I think
because you're looking at it like from the Paul Heyman Brock. It's not. Paul
you have to look at it that way.
It's not Paul Heyman and Brock. It's just he's there.
Then why have Paul Heyman there?
He's there. So say story wise, he's there story wise to like probably like give him advice and guide him along when he whatever. Like again, like he was there for CM Punk. Again, CM Punk didn't need Paul Heyman. Like Roman doesn't need Paul Heyman, but he's there, you know, because it makes it interesting. You don't know what's going to happen, and then you know, it could eventually lead to maybe Roman kicks out Paul Heyman, and then although I don't want it, it could lead to another Brock and Roman match. But this time Roman's the heel, and Brock is the face.
Now, see, you done said something right there. Although Brock's contract is officially up, and he's a free agent,
he's gonna come back.
I think that will be interesting if Brock Lesnar comes back, and then you got Paul Heyman standing between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Now, who would the people actually go with? They probably will go with Brock Lesnar because he has that draw where he doesn't have to say anything. That gives Paul Heyman his ability to talk and say everything that Brock wants. And since nobody likes Roman Reigns can be the heel for a change. So see, that's an interesting concept. If Brock comes back and he goes against Roman Reigns, I can see that. That will be interesting. That's actually a good WrestleMania match because technically their last WrestleMania match to me wasn't all that because it was outside interference or whatever. If it's just a one-on-one, Paul Heyman in the middle, I kind of like that. I think Paul Heyman was going to side with Brock because Brock, he's been Brock, the next big thing when he first brought Brock in. I will go with that. So, what else?
Like I said, his next opponent, maybe Daniel Bryan.
Oh, Roman Reigns?
Against Daniel Bryan.
Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan. He did get his yes chance on Monday. I still don't think it's like the original yes movement. I don't think it's
never gonna be like the original.
It's never just had that fire or whatever. But isn't he feuding with somebody right now?
It looked like it may have been starting something with Seth, but Seth is still involved with Ray and them. And then
okay. Ray's son and I think maybe his daughter were on Facebook Live the other day, and they were talking in Spanish. I don't know what they were saying. People were saying anything, and I just so happened. I was like, okay, I gotta say that. I was like, yo, dude, your sister's 19, Buddy is 32 years old. Y'all need to stop. And I said that. A lot of people like my comment. So, but the whole Rey Mysterio, and I think Dominic needs to get out of his father's shadow. So him and his father needs to get into a fight.
You know, eventually, it's gonna be like that. They're gonna eventually, maybe they'll be tag team champ for a win or something like that. But eventually, he's gonna break away because he's going to go. Everyone sees me as your son, and I need to break off and be on my own. They'll probably fight at WrestleMania next year. I think
he needs to work on his skills, which is why I think they need to send him.
That's why it's good for him to be with his dad.
No, I think they need to send him to NXT.
Oh, he's not going. The only reason why Ray came back was because he wanted Vince to push his son.
I don't think Dominic. Okay, that's not even fair. Because it's Rey Mysterio, we'll give your son a push. But you got all these guys working in NXT. I would send Ray's son, Dominic, to NXT, and then I let Tommaso Ciampa just go wild on him, boy. Because I'm a huge fan of Tommaso Ciampa. And you said what? He doesn't want to leave NXT, right? Mm-hmm. He wants to stay there. Mm-hmm. So they should give him the title. But they should let Tommaso put his hands on Dominic and just give him a really good lesson. So again, this whole push that he's getting right now, I don't like it because you can tell he's still a newbie in the ring that is just not.
That's fine. It's not like he's getting world title opportunities.
Okay, but he's getting opportunities that people in NXT wish they had. So, and to me, that's not fair. Just because who his dad is, I don't like that kind of stuff. I think if you work hard, you should get it. Not because of who your dad is or whatever, anything like that, that you get these opportunities.
Well, you heard, how many times you heard Randy Orton say, he screwed up and he should have been fired, but probably wasn't because of his dad. Then you got The Rock,
Bob Orton doesn't have any juice. Randy Orton got into wrestling because of who his father is.
I'm saying he got that opportunity because of his dad, right?
He got the opportunity, but once he came into OVW and did WWE, that was his stuff, and Randy Orton shot up like that.
Yeah, he proved himself, but I'm saying...
But his dad didn't have anything to do with him as far as his success.
No.
If his dad was Ric Flair, you got a point.
Well, Charlotte. We definitely say Charlotte.
Yeah.
The reason why she got all them titles
exactly
because of Ric Flair's
Charlotte. But Randy Orton, no. His dad was a mid-carder at best. So he got no juice as far as Randy Orton getting the push. He had juice to get Randy Orton into the business. Same thing as Rocky Johnson got his son in the business. But as far as him getting where he got, man, that was all on Orton. That was all on The Rock that got him there. What other match? While he's looking that up, I just want to give a shout out because everybody was talking about AEW and the sing along between Jericho and FT. What's that guy's name?
Oh, I didn't watch it.
Elijah, let me see your phone. Go to Twitter real quick. I want to get.
You talked about all the matches. That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Well, look up Jericho and that guy did the musical sing-along. It was trending. I don't think it made #1, but everybody was talking about him, saying that it should win a Tony Award or whatever. And I'm going to give my thoughts on AEW. I think Private Party in AEW was just a knockoff of the Street Profits, somewhat. Just put in Chris Jericho.
I did.
Okay, don't you have talk to text? There it is. Sing along is the top thing.
No, it's just them singing along the song.
Chris Jericho.
It's just them singing along the song.
MGF. Okay, so they did a musical, MJF and Jericho did a musical where they were trying to best each other at a dinner table and they started singing this song. And it started trending. I would think it was maybe top, it got all the way up to 2 or 3. And everybody was talking about, oh man, it might have been the greatest thing that they ever seen. I watched it. I thought it was okay. I didn't think that was oh man, that was just great. I like segments that went way long, and this went way long. So let's talk about the way long segments. This Is Your Life by The Rock and Mick Foley.
A lot of people like that.
Huh?
Yeah, but a lot of people like that.
Hold on. Versus Jericho and MJF on their sing along. This Is Your Life, The Rock, that was way funny. And it was just hilarious. This sing along with Jericho and MJF, I thought was good. It was good. I'm going to give it this prop. It was good. It's probably the best thing of the night because it was near the end of the show when they did it. Is it up there with the This Is Your Life, Rock? No. It was good, but it wasn't that good. So I did watch AEW this past Wednesday. My only problem with AEW and their matches is their matches go way too long, in my opinion. I mean, when they say it's a 20-minute time limit or 30-minute time limit, which that's old school right there because WWE used to do that with 20-minute time limit or whatever, they literally go about 20 minutes. And for me, I think a match is good 10, 15 minutes, and then you cut it. I think AEW's problem, they have some great workers, they got some great talent there. It's just that their matches are way too long. It's just okay, I'm gonna go get something out of the fridge warm it up in the microwave, taste it, it's not warm enough, put it back in the microwave, warm it up, now it's too hot, I gotta put it in the refrigerator to cool it down a little bit, then come back, taste it, it's just fine, come back and sit down, and the match is still going on. That's my critique of AEW, is that their matches, and literally all of their matches, they go way too long, in my opinion. Shorten the matches down, and they have good matches. Although I'm not a fan of Orange Cassidy. Again, I don't get this guy. But that's pretty much, I think, it. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else?
My final thoughts on Hell in a Cell was I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10 or something
7
like
out
that.
of 10?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, obviously, Otis thing, it's okay, it's whatever. I knew eventually Tucker was going to turn on him.
Otis thing, I think it was about time. That's my take. It's about time. Take it from him.
The Bobby Lashley thing was whatever. I think Sasha Banks, best match of the night.
I agree.
Gotta go 7 out of 10.
I'm just gonna go 7.5 out of 3 because I think Sasha Banks, and that's because, matter of fact, scrap that. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, and the reason why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 is because the possibility of the Miz getting a run for the title, that he's finally back in the limelight, and he already put the word out that Universal or WWE champ, Raw or SmackDown, I don't know, whichever. When I come after you, you're gonna know I'm coming after you, whatever. So the fact that he has the title and he has good mic skills, and the fact that he cuts good promos, I think him with the Money in the Bank title and whoever it's going to be, I think he got John Morrison with him. So if he cheats his way to get a title, whatever, I think it's good. Don't take it from Orton because he just got it. Let's see what Orton can do with it and see.
They're not taking it from Roman.
Huh?
They're not taking it from Roman.
Well, you got a lot of time between now and WrestleMania, and if I'm the Miz, who was the person that wanted to hold the title till WrestleMania but didn't? Was it Daniel Bryan?
To do what?
It was like, no, I'm going to put myself in a WrestleMania match, and they held the Money in the Bank title. Their original plan was to hold the Money in the Bank title till WrestleMania.
I think man. Was that Rollins? Or did he just cash in at Mania? No, that was Dave Bryan. He said that he was going to wait to cash in his Money in the Bank till WrestleMania, but he ended up cashing it at TLC.
Yeah. So if he does the Miz do that, I think that'll be good. So I think that's it for tonight. So Stevie the Black, we are done talking about wrestling. We'll see you again next week. Peace.